Sungjae laugh like crazy even after getting stabbed in the foot with his own glasses. I've compiled all the clips analyzing this untamed wolf and polished them into this audio edition. A subscriber requested a walking-friendly audio conversion, and I'm happily delivering it. Visuals are minimized, just so you know. While binge-watching Season 2, I came to interpret Sungjae through a personal lens, not just as a simple antagonist who annoys the protagonist, but as a psychological mirror-like existence to the boy consumed by guilt. Let me dive deep into that story. Also, I'll enthusiastically discuss why their rooftop fight became Season 2's iconic scene. I don't want to get my hopes up too much about weak hero Class 3 possibilities, because high expectations lead to big disappointments, but many subscribers say they feel it in their bones that Class 3 is coming, so I'm quietly hoping too.
수호와 바쿠 같이 있는 게 보고 싶지 않으신가요?
좋아.
And I'm curious if Sungjae will make a special appearance again in Class 3, though we can't know his intentions after accepting that Chunggung boss's business card. If so, they'd have to hurry before actor Lee Jun-young gets dragged off to the military. For Season 2, looking solely at Si-eun, the plot's weight became deeper. The boy got forcibly transferred to Eunjung High School, right? He's carrying all the trauma from Suho's coma like it's physically crushing him. And Park Ji-hoon isn't just acting out trauma, he's embodying a kid who built walls so high that even he can't see beyond them. But talking about the jungle-like classroom environment, bullies like Hyomon keep messing with the boy, while three new friends purely penetrate his defenses without the protagonist realizing it. The contrast between the two seasons gives fans an engaging viewing experience. Season 1 captured the raw sensibilities of an all-boys high school in watercolor-like film with an atmosphere close to reality, something you might find somewhere in everyday life. I think it portrayed the subtle hierarchy culture among boys in not-so-diluted pastel tones. Season 2 took quite a different directorial approach. It became more faithful to the school action genre, and fantasy characters like Baku stepped boldly forward. The proportion of action sequences increased, and the two crazy boys' rooftop fight, which became Season 2's iconic scene itself as a Yeongum fight, felt like it delivered an adrenaline punch. Not just me, but other subscribers confessed to playing Season 2, not Season 1, like a playlist when they want to cool their heads. The reason is probably the harmony of warmth and humor that the so-called Baku family provides. Season 1 requires you to watch tensely from Episode 5, and Episode 7, where Suho falls into a coma, is hard to watch without emotional exhaustion. So Class 2 is kinda comfort food, and a comfort movie for the weak hero fandom. The most impressive thing about Season 2 is watching Si-eun's growth, both internally and in terms of improved fighting skills. Sungjae recognized it too, saying, "You're pretty good." In Season 1, he just pushed through with grit and determination rather than skill. Of course, the toughness inherited from his father, a judo silver medalist, played a part. But in Season 2, his fighting techniques became more strategic, without him realizing it. That rooftop scene with the boy proving his fighting pattern's evolution might be the masterpiece moment among all of Weak Hero's fight choreography so far. What do you think? Park Ji-hoon's handling of action sequences was excellent. From Si-eun's perspective, it was based on techniques learned from Suho in Season 1, and practical instincts acquired through actual blood-soaked experience. From actor Park Ji-hoon's standpoint, I think he clearly utilized the dance moves accumulated during his idol career and his knowledge as a professional entertainer who knows how to appear dynamic on camera in the fight scenes. Ji-hoon's everyday emotional acting hits just as strongly as the fight scenes. Si-eun carries guilt about his little hero every moment, and it torments him day and night. In Season 2, Suho only appears in the finale, but there wasn't a moment throughout Season 2 when his shadow wasn't cast. Si-eun isolates himself and barely stays awake with this constant self-punishment. The madness you see in his eyes during fights completely disappears when the battle ends, replaced again by the boy's familiar sadness and loneliness. Even in Season 2, Ji-hoon's emotional acting remains excellent. He smoothly connects the emotional transitions inside and outside of fights. Most fans talk about the rooftop fight with Sung Jae as the season highlight. And I agree. But personally, my preference is actually the tunnel scene with Gotak. That scene where Gotak thinks this unfriendly figure messed up the basketball club room and stops him walking home with Juntae, but Gotak flips this boy's trigger. Seun's trauma, Suho.
Didn't you kill a kid at your previous school? Or was it that you turned him into a vegetable? Stop pretending to be good, you hypocrite bastard.
No way.
The direction of that sequence was very powerful. A train speeds past behind the triggered boy. Run from the OST plays along with it. And you can literally see the moment Seun's eyes burn and change with agitation. Now, let's talk about Songja. This character is compelling in the most disturbing way. The untamed wolf is completely addicted to dopamine. He games on his phone all day, never puts down his cigarettes, looks for opportunities to pick fights, constantly stimulating his brain. Songja seems to have reached a stage where he actually enjoys the adrenaline rush from getting hit. Rather than simply avoiding getting hit, he truly enjoys getting hit during fights. I wonder who else could have played this untamed wolf if not actor Lee Jun-young. He was perfect for that role. In every single shot where Songja faces Xian, he's smiling. To him, the boy isn't just entertainment. For Songja, who's gotten bored with most things around him, Xian is a major new dopamine source. Wait, let me point out a detail I love. Remember when the wolf figures out in the bathroom that Xian has very good dynamic vision, then later on the rooftop covers the protagonist's field of vision with his palm? That's my favorite fighting detail. You can't discuss Season 2 without their rooftop fight, right? In the rooftop showdown, when Xian tries to stab with the pen, Songja blocks it with one hand, but the boy desperately uses both hands trying to stab. The small boy is deadly serious, and the big boy is smiling. Season 2's highlight definitely lies in the action and tension between these two boys. Both in the original and the drama, you can see that Xian is clearly at a physical disadvantage due to their size difference. So you naturally wonder how he'll beat Songja. Since the wolf is physically bigger, he's always looking down at Xian, and whenever the protagonist's around, those corners of his mouth inevitably turn up. The tone when Songja calls him newbie seems half condescending and half like a signal saying, I'm fond of you.
오늘 뭐 내 생일이야? 로또라도 사야 되나 이거?
I understand why Songja says he wants to fucking beat up Xian's face. This pretty-faced kid has the audacity to stare defiantly with those deer-like big eyes, completely different from other students who just shrink back. Throughout the series, Xian becomes the villain's main source of dopamine and adrenaline stimulation. Then, when small-frame Xian too easily loses his pen to Songja's strength, he deliberately lures his opponent toward the rooftop wall, uses the flower pot, steals the glasses, and stabs his opponent's foot. Adrenaline explodes, and you can't help but cheer. Wow! When no one could predict Xian's reversal, this pretty-faced boy, as Songja said, turns the tide with his natural intelligence and composure. So when Songja got stabbed in the foot, and maybe even got his eye poked by his own glasses frame, laughing and saying that's it, I was smiling too. And here's where his truly crazy side is revealed. Songjae's reaction to getting stabbed in the foot with his own glasses encapsulates the disturbing character that is this untamed wolf. Instead of hurling curses, he giggles like the most interesting thing of the day just happened. What I think is the coolest aspect of this character is that, unlike other characters, he has no revealed narrative, and you can't know his intentions behind any of his actions. At the bowling alley, he eventually betrays Seun. I think that was impulsive rather than calculated from Songjae. This might have come partly from some loyalty to Baekjin, but it could also be because suddenly helping the boy conflicted with his familiar self-image. Or because it wasn't a fun choice. No one can easily define the wolf's intentions. He's just impulsive, emotional, acts according to his own bizarre rules, and maybe even Songjae can't control some parts of himself. In interviews, actor Lee Jun-young mentioned his character as neither good nor evil, but a romanticist. You can see this when Juntae gets caught and beaten by Union gang members. Sungjae sees Juntae's unwavering loyalty to his friends, cynically recognizes it as romantic in a naive context, and actually saves Juntae. When director Han offered Junyoung the role, he apparently said, "This character is just you." Junyoung said several aspects of the character were quite similar to himself, and that actor Junyoung's romantic sides are present in the role too. In fact, director Han revealed in an interview that if Junyoung had refused the role, he would have completely changed the character's narrative. Actually, the point I want to emphasize most about Sungjae's character is my personal analysis that he's a mirror-like existence to Siyun. I think the reason Sungjae suddenly appeared in front of Siyun was as an embodied device summoned by the protagonist's unconscious need for dopamine that could momentarily relieve his exhausted guilt and fatigue. The main character, filled externally and internally with hellish insomnia at night, guilt about Suho during the day, and deep depression at the base, needed strong stimulation, like either you die or I die, and only when Siyun was fully enjoying that stimulation with his whole body did Beom-seok's apparition that had been cast over the boy throughout the season, making him wither, and the guilt about comatose Suho get deflected. So, just as Sungjae needed newbie Siyun as a new dopamine source, the protagonist also needed the dopamine that was Sungjae. So when we assume this drama revolves around Siyun, there was no reason for the wolf's narrative to be revealed. If Sungjae just stimulated the main character enough to breathe momentarily and temporarily lightened Siyun's heavy guilt in the rooftop fight, that alone was sufficient for this character's role. If the wolf had also recited his backstory here, it would have just been more burden for Shion, whose life was already heavy. It's rare for Korean dramas to depict villains without narrative. But in this regard, Sungjae was fresh and cool. He appears cool as a villain itself and disappears cool as a mysterious existence whose intentions are unknowable. Season 2 ends with Baekshin gone, and Sungjae positioned to become a key figure in some darker force beyond the high school union. We still don't know whether the wolf will actually be absorbed into the Cheonggong side, or if it was a trick to test the Cheonggong boss. Season 3 might be difficult to make, but if it comes out, what role will Sungjae play? Will he still coolly pass through the drama as a narrativeless villain like Season 2? Or will a backstory we didn't know be revealed and penetrate the drama? I personally hope the wolf continues to pass through the drama in Season 3, but other fans' wishes might be different. Weak Hero finished Season 2 and is raising expectations for Season 3. If Season 3 comes out, it'll take a different path from the original webtoon, so it'll become completely director Yu's and the writer's original creation territory. What story will they tell? What role do you think Sungjae will play in Season 3? Will he become Shion's enemy or an unexpected ally? I'd like you to share your predictions in the comments.